You know the trick where a guy vanishes, then he reappears somewhere? No, we'll make this really simple. You place your hands out like this.
Wait, I'm so scared.
Huh?
Me too?
No, just her. I'll just use it. Yeah. Place your hands out. And then you're gonna move it like this. Do me a favor. Close both of them slightly like a fist. Like a fist. Perfect. The moment I snap my fingers, you're gonna move one towards me, one of your fists, okay? Now, that's perfect. Watch. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's our man.
Watch. I want you to squeeze tight so nothing comes in, nothing comes out. The moment I blow like this, it literally vanishes. Open your hands.
What in the world? How did you do that?
Hi, my name's Chris Smith, and thank you for getting Double Cross. You get two props with Double Cross. You get some putty, and you get the Double Cross pen. I'll show you how to put the putty on in just a moment. First, a brief overview of the pen. The pen is very special. It looks like my Super Sharpie prop, if you own that, but it's completely different on the inside, and it gives the audience a completely different effect. First of all, out the business end of the pen, the tip right here, when you write on your skin and you put an X on your skin, this is very special ink, specially formulated to vanish once it touches moisture. And I'll show you how during the routine to put a little bit of moisture in your finger and just touch the ink, and it simply dissolves and vanishes in your hand. It's a lot of fun, actually. In the center of the pen is a divider. So we have two separate vessels or chambers inside the pen. And on the back of the pen is a secret stamper. Now this stamper comes off, and of course I'll show you how to use this. It's got a little X on it, and you'll use this to secretly stamp your spectators when they least expect it. It's always inked, it's always ready to go, and it stamps in permanent ink, which is really cool because after you stamp them, they turn over their hand at the end of the routine, they see the X, they try to rub it away, they can't. They have to wash their hand to get it off, which I think reinforces the fact and the magic that happened in your hand when the X disappeared. Anyways, let's get started. The first and really only thing you need to do to make this trick work is get just a little piece of the black putty, and I'm talking little. Let me show you how little. About that much. That much black putty. And put that on the end of the pen. Now here's the end of the pen. What you want to do is just place it on there, pancake the putty around the stamper, and you just want to make sure it doesn't go over that rounded edge right there. It kind of stays within the rounded edge. And now once that putty's on there, you're all set to perform. To start the routine, place the pen into your left hand, and you're going to remove the stamper secretly so the spectator can't see it. And I do that just by grabbing it and sort of twisting it off as the index finger sticks itself to the putty. And it just pulls off like that. They can't see it because the back of your hand is blocking the action. So you're going to pull that off and then hold your hands out like that. As you say, hold your hands out, just like that. Perfect. Great. Now, if they're sitting down, you want to make sure you block that stamper by tilting your hand so they can't see under your hand. So say we're in this position. Now, what I'm going to do is reach under his hands. Now, when I reach under, I just reach under real fast so he can't see the stamper, and I say a little bit wider. I've just stamped his hand, his left. Go ahead and turn that over and show the camera. He's got a nice big X there. Go ahead and turn it back there. And I immediately come back, and I just replace the stamper on the pen. Now, as I'm replacing this, I ask him, are you a righty or a lefty?
I am a righty.
He's a righty. Then go ahead and put the right hand down. Bring it back up again. In case he were to say lefty, I'd say, great, let's keep that. Put the right one down. Very simple to do. Now, the reason I wait until this moment to have them make a fist is you got to give the ink a couple seconds to dry. Not everybody lives in Las Vegas. We don't have 100-degree heat in the North Pole, I understand. So you want to make sure that the ink is properly dry before they make a fist. So as I ask them to make a fist, go ahead and make a fist. I pull the cap off the pen and I place the cap in my mouth. And I'm going to make an X on my palm. Now, it's kind of strategic where you place the X. You want to place the X right where your middle finger is going to touch your palm. You'll see why in just a moment. So I know mine touches around this area, so I'm just going to make a little X right there. Now, as I get the cap, I'm just sort of going to kiss my fingers and get just a little bit of moisture on my finger. Now when I shut my hand, I just make sure that my middle finger lands on that X as I turn my hand over. Now just let it marinate for about a second or two. And if you want, you can do a little micro movement of the middle finger. Nothing that can be seen from the top of the hand. Just to make sure that all last vestiges of the ink are gone. And then you just slowly open your hand and show that the X is completely vanished. Now when you're ready to finalize the trick, you're going to turn over your hand and show that your X is completely gone. There's nothing there, there's no trace of it whatsoever, and there's nothing on the tip of your finger. Sometimes a little bit on the tip of your finger, but nothing they can see on your palm. And at that point you say, if it's not over here, open up your hand. They open up their hand, they see the X, and of course their X is permanent. They try to rub it, and it doesn't go anywhere. Here are some finer tips on vanishing the X. When you make the X in your hand, you'll wet your middle finger and then make a fist to make the X vanish. You'll just slightly rub it. And to all appearances, the X is gone, your hand is empty. Now on closer examination, if you look really close at your hand, you'll always sort of see a little streak right here, represented by this reverse C. Now you can see this, but the spectator can't. The reason why you can see it, of course, is you knew where the X was, and also it's your hand, and it's right next to you. But you never have to worry about this when you're performing, because it looks like a great illusion to your spectators. When your pen is new, it may write a little bit too darkly. For example, I try to make the X vanish, but when you look closely, you can actually see the faint outline of an X, sometimes some streaking too. Well, there's two ways to fix this. First, put a little more saliva on your finger and rub a little bit more vigorously. Secondly, when you're storing the pen, just store it with the point facing up, and what this does is it forces the ink a little bit out of the tip, so it writes just a little bit lighter, and so when you try to erase the X, it erases cleanly. By the way, you can also get moisture on your finger. If there's a glass on the table, you can just move a glass out of the way before you do the finale. Say you just drew an X on your hand, say, I really want you to get a good look at this, move the glass out of the way, now you've got some moisture on your middle finger. Also, if you're one of the lucky guys who has hair, you can put a little moisture in the back of your hair. Just get a little bit of water and put it on the back of your hair before you start, and then as you're doing the routine, just sort of scratch the back of your head and you'll get some moisture on your middle finger to make that X vanish. A great motivation for double cross, no matter what variation of the trick that you like doing, is to say one simple thing, and this is from Rodney Reyes. Do you remember the trick where the guy vanishes and then reappears somewhere else? Let me show you something. Just saying those words, I think, sets up the effect very, very nicely. So when you draw the X and the X vanishes, they know, of course, it has to appear somewhere else, and then, of course, they open their hand and they see the X on the inside of their hand. Another alternative handling for double cross is have the spectators hold their hands out, do the adjustment, which is the secret stamp, take a close look at their hands and say, you know what, your hands are too nice for this. That's okay, just put them down. Now they put their hands down by their side, but one of the hands has the secret X stamp on it. Then you say, then when they see you write the X in your hand, they realize why you said their hands were too nice for the effect, because you're writing on your hand. So you write on your hand, make the X vanish, and of course when they open up their hand, they see that the X has reappeared. And the surprise, perhaps, is even stronger than having them hold their fist out in front. To change the ink at the back of the pen, get a paper clip and open up one of the arms. Straighten it out, and then get a pair of pliers and grab onto the end, about the last 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch, and just make a right angle bend so it looks like this. This is going to act like a fish hook, so you can reach into the back of your double cross unit with the stamper removed and remove the dry ink cartridge. Place the ink cartridge that's dried out on the table and obtain a brand new regular Sharpie pen. You're going to twist it right in the center, one hand on the gray barrel, one hand on the cap, and sort of twist back and forth as you pull off the gray barrel. And now remove this brand new ink cartridge. Okay. Now what you're going to do is sort of measure it up to the old one. You want to cut it to the same exact length. Okay. So I'm going to hold it next to the old one, and you can make a mark with an X-Acto knife. I can just make a little cut here with the scissors that acts as a guide. I do a little cut just like that, and then I make a big cut right where I made my mark. Make sure you cut it flat, and then make sure that it's the same size as the old dried out cartridge. Now discard the old dried out cartridge, don't get them confused. Get your double cross pen and stick the brand new cartridge into the barrel. Since it's countersunk, you'll need to use the tool to push it all the way in. It countersinks about a 1/4 inch inside the barrel. It'll sort of stop when it reaches its end. Now replace the stamp. The stamp should seat nicely. It shouldn't be pushed off the barrel at all by the ink cartridge. That would indicate it's too long. And let it soak up the ink for about a minute. After it's done that, remove the stamp and test it on your own skin just by stamping your palm. It should give you a nice, even stamp of an X that looks like it was written with a Sharpie pen. To change the vanishing ink from the front of the double cross pen when it starts running dry, open up your pen by twisting it in the middle and removing the gray barrel. That exposes the ink cartridge that holds the vanishing ink. And this cartridge can be pulled right out, just pluck it out. It's usually about 1 inch or 2 long. The right side has a hole in it that accommodates the nib of the pen. The nib fits inside of it. So to replace it, buy a vanishing ink cartridge from Magic Smith and open up the pen by twisting it in the center and pulling off the gray barrel. This exposes your brand new vanishing ink cartridge. Just pull it out and put it down. Now, it's very important to note that on the right side of the vanishing ink cartridge is a hole as well that matches that of the dried out ink cartridge. It's very important that you remember this orientation. You can see the hole when you pull the cartridge out. Now what you want to do is you will want to trim down this brand new fresh ink cartridge down to the length of your old ink cartridge. Just get a pair of scissors, hold them side by side. I start by making a little notch right where I should cut, and once I've marked that notch, I go ahead and do the full cut. And after I've cut, I double check to make sure they're the same length. Now discard the old cartridge, careful not to confuse the two. Take your new cartridge, and once again, remember the hole at the front. That goes end in first into the tip of the pen, and you'll push it and you'll actually feel the nib kind of insert itself into the ink cartridge. That will ensure that the ink flows smoothly from the cartridge to the nib. Now get the gray barrel, and you'll want to press fit the gray barrel onto the writing tip of the pen. It snaps together with a little bit of force. You want to make sure that the cap, where the cap ends, is right where the gray barrel begins. Test it by pulling the cap off to make sure it comes off cleanly, and then snap it back on again. And that's it.